It is playoff time in New England yet again. After an 11-5 season, Chase Dawson and the Pats are back. We are taking on the Cleveland Browns in the divisional round. And overall, I'm feeling pretty good about our chances. Granted, in year one, we felt pretty good about our chances. The last year of Tom Brady's career, it didn't necessarily work out. We felt good before. Didn't work out again. Take a couple of steps back to build it all back up again, and it has led to this, the 22-year-old superstar, in part leading this team back to the postseason. You know our squad at this point. You know our roster. You know what they are capable of. But before we take a look at what we're up against, I do want to get to these two messages. First and foremost, because this is the first time I've seen this in Madden since they've added it, we have the team leader message from Miles Jack, which I spoke to Richard earlier. I gotta be honest, it doesn't sound like he's coming back next year. This is the last run. We gotta win it with the title. Reach out to some of the guys on defense and make sure we're all on the same page. So winning it for Richard Sherman, a plus 20 morale boost for our entire defense. Jesus Christ. And then you factor in this message from Richard himself, saying I lost a step, saying I'm not the player I used to be. You're not. You're not. But, you know, I'm pumped that Richard Sherman's pumped. His morale's been maxed out for the playoffs. Christ. So what is this team looking like now then with the morale boost is my question. What are the defensive ratings? I am very much intrigued. So Sherman's going to be playing like an 86. His morale is a +2. And we have Lawson on a +2. I think everybody's on a +2, which this defense was looking pretty good to begin with. But with everybody on a +2, it looks that much better. All right, Abukam's on a +1, as is Miles Jack. But, you know, things are looking pretty damn good for us with those boosts to the defense. Not quite across the board, but it's still looking pretty damn good. The question is, what are we dealing with on the other side? The Cleveland Browns, the first of 3 teams potentially that could be standing in our way en route to glory. Baker Mayfield. Oh, what a quarterback. He is an X factor at this point. He has Gambler, which, you know, I won't take shots at the Browns. You know, yesterday's game, talking, of course, Sunday. Yesterday's game was what it was. Bad ref calls, indeed. I'm just happy for Browns fans that they're at the point where they can just be like, you know what? Yeah, we did get jobbed by the officials. You know, because for a long time, it was, yeah, but who cares? We wouldn't have won anyway. Now there's hope and optimism and a 2-4 record. But Gambler for Baker Mayfield, roaming dead-eye, last ditch and clutch. Time will tell. Running back wise, it's Nick Chubb. So, I mean, advantage Cleveland thus far. You have Graham at fullback, who's great. And then wideout-wise, advantage Cleveland. I mean, we have a solid core, but OBJ and Jarvis Landry, nothing to scoff at. Tight end-wise, again, it's about even with Njoku and Hooper. So, I'm a bit scared thus far. The O-line, we have a huge advantage there if Bacon is starting. Bitonio, Shredder, Saragusa, and Snyder. So we do have an advantage on the O-line, which is nice. D-line, they have Vernon, still have Myles Garrett, Sheldon Richardson, so I'd give the advantage to Cleveland there, but, you know, we're not exactly pushovers. Linebacker-wise, Taki with Schobert, and, okay, we got the advantage at, linebacker. Secondary-wise, Denzel Ward, Greedy Williams, and Kobe Pauley, second-year pro. They have the advantage there as well. But again, I don't think we're so horrifically outmatched. Safety-wise, Demarius Randall and Frazier. So we're hanging in there. I mean, they might have the overall edge, but this is a pretty damn close matchup to the point where it could go either way. We actually have the overall edge on them, and I think, it's probably about right. Our depth might be a little bit stronger, but, I mean, they can obviously go toe-to-toe with us in terms of X factors and in terms of total superstars. So this is going to be a very interesting game that can truly go either way. Let's get down to business. Will this be the first of 3 playoff games in this episode, or will we ultimately fall short in the playoffs yet again? Again, you talk about what we had done the first 2 times we made the playoffs and just ultimately falling short of what our true potential arguably was. It's going to be interesting here to see what this team can do, what this team is capable of. Will the morale boost play that big of a factor in getting this team, the victory today, getting this team over the hump, getting this team to play like they can play? I just want to see the intro. Show me what a leader looks like in a snowy Foxborough. It's what I was hoping for, too. Makes the playoffs that much more interesting. Gotta love a snow game, unless you're sitting in the stands. Oh, God, this is going to be interesting. This is the first game, I think, since Tom Brady's last, where I'm nervous because I'm invested. I want this team to win. I mean, we accomplished our goal of getting back into the playoffs. It would have been a disaster if we weren't here. There he is, the man, Chase Dawson. Let's see what you can do. You're in the postseason now, buddy. It's time to make the most of it. Here we go. First quarter against Cleveland. Baker was sacked on that opening drive. Can we do anything on our opening drive? We march all the way downfield for the touchdown. Jesus. That was a ridiculous drive. We started from the 7, ended up on the 5, and then marched downfield over the course of nearly 10 minutes. Capped off with a 2-yard touchdown pass to N'Keal Harry, and we have the lead early on. We also have the ball on the Cleveland 34 to start this second quarter. Can we take advantage? We settle for a 51-yard field goal from Will Lutz. Cleveland scores almost immediately. Good God. 70-yard rushing touchdown from Nick Chubb. It happens so often, and it happens again. The Browns are right back in this game as Joe Schobert with the interception. And the Browns, will they be able to tie it? They'll be able to do more than that. They take the lead. 2 major plays. Jarvis Landry with the touchdown. Just like that, Cleveland has scored 14 unanswered points, and we're not able to get anything going there. So under 5 minutes left here in this first half, big chance for the Browns to add to the lead, and they do. It's 21-10. Can we get points on the board before the half? No, we can't. 21 unanswered points for Cleveland. They have the lead as we begin the second half. That is rough. Now, we do have that first possession. We need to take advantage of it, and ultimately we can't. Scott's forced to punt. They will start from our 48. It was a bad punt, too. Cleveland scores 28-10 for the Browns. 28 unanswered points. OBJ with the touchdown. And to say I'm starting to lose a bit of hope would be an understatement. We need a touchdown on this drive. We can't get it. Scott's forced to punt. And I don't understand what's happening here. Cleveland, though, it's a 3-and-out, but they pin us back to the 5. We need a touchdown here, please. And it's a 3-and-out. 2:55 left in the third quarter. The Browns score 35-10 as this playoff curse continues. Can we score on this drive? No, we can't. 4th and goal. Harry drops a pass. That's it. Unless we get a defensive touchdown here, which we don't. There's 9 minutes left. We're down by 25. And we don't get a touchdown there either. Kavon Frazier with the interception from the 9. 3rd and 1 on the 9. We throw a pick. It's over. It is over. 35 unanswered points for Cleveland. We put up 10 points in the opening minutes of this game, and the offense completely stalled out from there. Inexperience, perhaps, from Dawson. I'm not sure what the hell it was. But this team fell apart after the first couple of minutes of this game. Dawson, 25 of 43, 244 yards, a touchdown, 2 picks. He didn't rise to the occasion like we needed him to. Damian Harris was hurt. Sony Michel was hurt, so we had to rely on Dion Lewis. That's a nightmare. Our top 2 running backs getting injured. Hooper led the way in terms of receptions, but Amari Cooper didn't really get to play a factor in that game. Blocking-wise, we did very well, given that they have Myles Garrett on the other side. Defensively, a couple tackles for loss, but we couldn't really get to Mayfield in this game. So unfortunately, we didn't get the performance that we needed from our quarterback. And the injuries to the running backs just absolutely crippled us. Again, we got that opening touchdown, a field goal very early on into the second, and it was all Cleveland from there. We are out in the divisional round yet again in what was the worst case scenario for us. You talk about all of those boosts on defense. Ultimately, that didn't help us as much as it needed to either, because we simply couldn't shut down that Cleveland offense. Wow. Oh, Miles, buddy. I know you did everything you could. I know. It is upsetting, Miles. It is. As the defensive morale goes down, but what are you going to do? The 2 new injuries. Sony Michel tore his quad and a ruptured disc for Damian Harris. Just everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong. We just couldn't overcome it. That is so brutal. We don't have to re-sign any of our staff. That's it, man. That quickly. That abrupt. Yet again, we fall short. Super Bowl this year is Indy and Dallas. As we'll view the Pro Bowl roster, as Dawson will be the starting quarterback for the AFC, even over Mayfield. You also had Bowden as the top fullback, Amari Cooper as the top wide receiver, Trent Taylor is there. I mean, we are well represented at this Pro Bowl. Isaiah Wynn is there. Derek Barnett. Clinton Tuck is the starting DT. Miles Jack. Richard Sherman. Godfrey. The top 2 corners are Patriots. Reggie Choice made it. As did J.K. Scott. Very well represented. But ultimately, it doesn't matter. Such a good season and such a good team just thrown away. And it really sucks that so far we have just had god-awful luck. Now, just to recap the playoffs in the divisional round, the Colts beat the Chargers, Cowboys beat the Rams, we of course lost, and New Orleans beat Chicago. The Colts sneak past Cleveland and Dallas, call a 19-point win a blowout as they beat New Orleans. So that sets up the Super Bowl. We will of course sim through the Pro Bowl. That's fine. As we get to the big day, player upgrade, Terrell Godfrey with 2 points. He must have been named Defensive Back of the Year, you would think, as he's up to a legitimate 82. Decent upgrades, too. And that gets him to be a legitimate 83 overall. What a goddamn pick he was, and what a rookie season for Terrell Godfrey. Yearly awards, let's see what we have. MVP is Cam Newton. Dawson was 6th. Coach of the Year is Sean Payton. For the AFC, Deshaun Watson was the top quarterback. Dawson was up there. Or he was the offensive player of the year, I should say. Sorry. Defensive player of the year was C.J. Mosley. Miles Jack was up there. Richard Sherman was up there. Offensive rookie of the year was Moses Gibson. Defensive Rookie of the Year was Terrell Godfrey, so that makes sense that he won an award. Ricky Sparks was also pretty damn solid. Top quarterback was Andrew Luck. Dawson was also up there. Top running back was Sony Michel. Top wideouts, Trent Taylor, Amari Cooper up there in the voting. On the O-line, you had James Landry in the top 8. Was that Isaiah Wynn in 10th? It was. Top defensive lineman, Derek Barnett was in the top 4. Clinton Tuck also getting some attention Miles Jack was up there for linebackers. Defensive back, Richard Sherman, Reggie Choice, and top kicker, Will Lutz. For the NFC, I'll at least show you the top few options, but I'm not going to pay too much attention to it. Jacoby Brissett, though, was the top quarterback. We have a little bit of scouting to handle before we sim the superb owl. And I think we were still on linebackers that we are trying to finalize looking at here. So let's see what we have. Kyle Nicholas is freaking ridiculous. There are some decent options here at linebacker. And then on the right, again, we will try to look at O-lineman options if we need to, but I think Isaiah Wynn's good enough to stay. Super Bowl, I'm going with the Colts and Andrew Luck over Dallas and kiss of death. Sorry to the Colts. Dallas Cowboys win the Super Bowl this year. That brings us to contract negotiations, where Richard Sherman did indeed retire. We, of course, managed to get him on a pretty damn good deal, and it's just a shame it didn't result in a win. So we look at all the retired players. Cameron Jordan, Melvin Ingram's gone. Patrick Chung, Devin McCourty, again Sherman, Clint Bowling as well. Damon Harrison. Let's take a quick scroll through. Julio Jones retires. Some good players riding off into the sunset. We will again take a look at the re-sign options. Though Antonio Callaway is going to be dropped. He didn't really play that much. I mean, he could potentially be brought back. If you look at the wide receiver options that we have right now, it's Cooper, it's Harry, Taylor as the slot option. Callaway, there's really no point. I mean, it sucks because, of course, we tried to get Jaquan Spears to break out, and that just didn't happen. So having Callaway or Ross really isn't a bad way to go to keep Taylor as the slot option. But we can take a look at other options that are out there. This might even be a decent year to try and pick up a wide receiver because Cooper is the age that he is. So, I mean, Callaway, $4 million. I'm gonna hold off. We're gonna let him go. I know I don't have to hit withdraw offer, but just end it. Tarai is gonna be dropped. You know, depth option, of course, that we can look to pick up. Pretty much all these guys. I think even Ryan Izzo is gonna be dropped. Malcolm Butler can go. Dion Lewis dropped off hard. We're going to be letting go of pretty much all of these guys. Even Levi Wallace. Levi Wallace we're going to drop. John Ross, Damian Harris. We're going to drop all of these guys and take a look. It sucks Winovich went up to star too late, but we're going to let all of these guys go. Have a little bit of a clean slate heading into free agency. And at least that way we can keep our options open. So when you look at this team, first and foremost, the thing to point out is that draft pick-wise, we have 4 first-round picks this year, 10th, 13th, 19th, and 27th. So we still have control of the board in terms of drafting. And as expected, Chase Dawson goes X Factor. Beautiful. You knew it was coming. I've been calling it for a while. He goes X Factor as of Super Bowl week. He has Bazooka, Lofting Deadeye, Anchored Extender, and Clutch. So he's going to get even better. But yeah, a bazooka arm for Chase Dawson, who is already a top 7 quarterback in this league. Running back wise, we should still have some time left with Sony Michel. Although, you know, we do need to look at bringing in a running back or two. Fullback wise at Bowden, we should be fine. Wideout-wise, again, one other decent option wouldn't hurt, so we can see what's out there. Tight end-wise, we still have Hooper and Butt, so that's fine. I mean, we're going to need a third tight end, but we can sign whoever. The O-line is still very solid, and we certainly won't be spending any big money on anybody here. We can obviously pick up anybody through the draft if we needed to. Defensive line, Derek Barnett. Wait, did he just go X Factor too? Jesus Christ, Derek Barnett goes X Factor as well. Holy shit. He has unstoppable force. He'll never see either of the two abilities, but my God. You have Carl Lawson on the other side, and of course all these practice squad guys that I forgot to cut. But yeah, we're looking okay. We're looking more than okay. Defensive tackle, we still have Tuck and Lawrence. Lawrence, who we could still trade if we wanted to. Buckham at linebacker. Miles Jack, of course, as an X Factor. Let me cut Simon Moore really quickly just to get him off roster. It would have to happen eventually anyway. And on the right, of course, is normally where we'd be playing Ricky Sparks. But picking up a linebacker in the draft isn't a terrible way to go. Corner help, we definitely need corner help. That's pretty straightforward. We have J.C. Jackson and Terrell Godfrey. We need help there. And I mean, if we could pick up another Richard Sherman type, that would be great. Not really expecting it. Safety, Reggie Choice went X Factor too. Holy hell, dude. Like, it's depressing that we lost. But holy shit, we've had 3 players go X Factor. That is insanity. That is insanity. So, I mean, a better safety to replace Evans could certainly work out. This next season, I mean, the hope and the optimism is still there. We're still going to be a good team. Like, there's no denying that. So I can't say I'm all that upset. But goddamn the improvements. How much cap space were we showing? Was that 23? 32. Okay, I'm dyslexic apparently. So, and we could, of course, free up even more. So quarterback-wise, doesn't matter who our backup is. I'm not going to spend a ton of money. I mean, I literally could just lowball Drew Lock if I wanted to have a better backup, but look at how much money he's asking for. We'll find somebody else. I am not concerned at all. Colin Spitzer was the guy out of BC, wasn't he? Nope, he was out of Maryland. We drafted him, though. I remember that much. So, yeah, we'll not worry about that at all. Running back-wise, there's really nobody that good, which is surprising. Josh Jacobs is there. He has some decent offers out. Darrell Henderson, Duke Johnson, Jamal Williams, Montgomery, Bryce Love, who just doesn't have a good dev pattern. Okay. So, I mean, if we wanted to, we either spend money on Josh Jacobs or we wait to see who's available running back-wise in the draft. Which, I mean, you know, could even bring in like a Bryce Love on a nothing deal. Jacobs, how much is that going to be? That's actually dirt cheap to try and compete with Jacksonville and with Baltimore. So, I mean, he's a power back, which is fine. Henderson's got a bit more speed to him. Actually, let me take a look at Jacobs. 79 power back, 73 elusive back. Henderson, 79 elusive back. Decent receiving back as well. And then Duke Johnson. Bryce Love, how much are you looking for? Yeah, decent amount. We could throw a cheap low ball offer his way. Jacobs, we'll come back to running back. Fullback-wise, Janovich is there. We'll obviously just keep the younger guy that we have. That's not a big deal. Bowden is fine. Wideout-wise, so we do need another option here. I mean, Funchess is fine as a physical option. Deep threat slot route runner. He's pretty well-rounded. Issue with him is I'd only want it to be like a one-year deal. 2 tops. Oh, JJ, as I'm going to call you, is also up there. Traquan Smith, James Washington, and then Antonio Callaway, who has an offer from the Lions. I think we're in a similar spot where it's like, man, you know, we could just look at the draft to help fill this out rather than having to rely on big money moves. Tight end wise, nobody really all that much, but Noah Fant actually. Spend the money to bring in Noah Fant and move out Jake Butt. I mean, it is a second tight end option, but my thought process is that Fant, honestly, you know, if he gets a decent amount of playing time, you know, maybe he ends up replacing Hooper. It's kind of my thought process with him. What would that be for an offer point-wise? 95. Kind of throw our name into the hat with fan. I mean, it couldn't hurt. We do have the money to spend. We're only going to get like 2 more years out of Hooper. There's a lot of options that we have here where it's like, okay, we could do this, or we could be a little bit more stingy with the money that we have and be a bit conservative with it. Leonard Williams. It's 29. I mean, he's not even that much better than Lawson. He's better than Barnett, but Barnett's got the X factor, so they kind of even out. And then defensive tackle, Geno Atkins is there. We're fine. Like I said, we're almost looking for an excuse to spend money. You know, like some of these guys could be brought in for the sake of depth, but it's like that's big money that we don't have to spend. Even corner-wise, unfortunately, there's really nobody available. You know, Jonathan Jones, I think we could just look to draft a corner. Safety-wise, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's there, as is Taylor Rapp. I think we just look to the draft. I mean, again, there are moves we could make, but I'm cool with saving a little bit of money. The only one I'm really intrigued by is Noah Fant. But I'm not too concerned. I mean, star development, it'd be nice if he was superstar. I think I'm going to hold off. I'm going to play it safe. We're in a position now where we don't necessarily need to spend big money on these contracts just because we have the ability to do so. So let's finish scouting out these linebackers, and we will see what we have from there. So Richard Gunter, pretty damn good. We'll hold off from there. So I mean, yeah, with all the secondary options we've had scouted out, running back wise, like if we pick up Oliver Sheffield, I'd be feeling pretty damn good about that. I'm actually going to take a look. I know B minuses aren't typically worth it, and yeah, they still prove to not be. Nolan Gross, we could pick up as a wide receiver. Tight end wise, there really wasn't anybody. But yeah, there are options here. No doubt about that. What's this guy have as a 5'3" strength wise? 25 reps. Alright, let's look at you guys here. We'll start scouting out some of these O-line options, but I am more than fine with not spending money, saving up, building up through the drafts. We know that there will still be some decent options on the other side of free agency that we'll be able to pick up for fairly good prices. I'm mainly looking for guys who are over a 6. Yeah, Ryan's is pretty good. Reinhardt's all right. All in all, some decent options, including Craig Mason. Jesus. Because I do think this could be, again, a decent draft for us because we're in such a position of power with all those draft picks that we have. So let's see what we have here. Anybody else who is close to a 6, I'll just burn the points on. Why not? We don't have to be too concerned about it. Again, the O-line, especially with Isaiah Wynn kind of stabilizing, as a decent option. It's looking fine. So yeah, we'll just burn through these points. That's fine. No problem. There we go. So with that, I know I could have looked at the obviously the combine scores, but again, not too worried. So free agent wise, we go reserved. Williams to Denver, Funchess to Philly, Jacobs ended up in Pittsburgh. Again, there weren't that many top-notch talents. Noah Fant out to Seattle. Might be viewed as the one that got away in due time, but I'm feeling all right. So we're going to go through the draft, just because, again, at the start of the episode when I say, hey, we'll see if we make it to the Super Bowl. The longer this episode goes, the more convincing it is that we might have made it to the Super Bowl. So let's take a look at the draft board. We need to get this settled. So quarterback-wise, nobody. Running back-wise, Oliver Sheffield. Now, unfortunately, he is pretty much the only option. Late first-round projection. Fast, strong, agility. I think for a second-round pick, he'd be amazing, or maybe we do take him late in the first round. Wideout-wise, it's pretty much just Nolan Gross, unfortunately. I mean, in terms of the grades, Middlebrooks, and you're 6'6", but you're too damn slow. Avery, I know, as a deep threat, I'm not really feeling it. You're too damn slow. Ashley Stewart has the speed, has the jumping. I don't really know if I trust it, but he's there. Timothy Drew has the speed, doesn't really have the agility. I mean, I've had terrible luck drafting wideouts anyway, and I'm not really trusting that any of these guys are going to be that good. Should have scouted out Solomon Crosby more, apparently. Not sure why we didn't. But that is somebody who we could take a risk on. Actually, here, let me look at Solomon Crosby. As a slot option, maybe. I mean, he is a slot receiver. What about Cassidy Wall? Jesus, that guy's got all the speed in the world. I'm a bit surprised. I don't know if I just missed scouting out some of these guys a little bit more. I don't know what the hell happened here. Not too worried about it. Will Benjamin, I remember seeing, but yeah, those grades aren't good. Tight end wise, so Wooden, yeah. What about Raymer? Yeah, not really that good. We can just sign a random ass tight end. Hello, maybe not. Terrence Abraham. Could be worth it as a third option. DeMarco Waters as a possession type. Hey, Abraham's looking all right. That guy's a first-round talent, though, as a blocking tight end. So we have two tight ends that are rather interesting. That guy's a possession type. That guy's a second-rounder. So two tight ends that could be pretty good pickup options. Raymer, I don't know if I trust you. Don't know if I do. Keep that in mind. On the O-line, Jason Adkins is a monster. Not that we necessarily need him, but he's there. That dude's also pretty damn good, even though the top grades are down. Barnett's available. Jameson's a bit of a beast. McCoy's a bit too weak. Left guard, Travis Jones. I mean, the strength's a little bit lower than I prefer, but everything else is amazing. Dustin Gunn is a great name. I'm a little bit worried about the strength. Adam McAdams. How did I not see that the first time? That's also incredible. Matt Ryans. He's still okay. Dean Reinhardt has the strength, but he's 24. Kyler Pitts, absolutely not. Craig Mason, absolutely yes. Caldwell has the strength, and Dexter Buck is okay. On the D-line, Lionel Hill. Again, we talked about this. This guy could be just an amazing linebacker, whatever the hell you really need him to be. Jerron Robbins has the speed and agility for sure. The strength is a bit low, though. Like, I get he's a speed rusher, but it's concerning. Tucker as a power rusher has the strength, but everything else, he's just so goddamn slow. Von Red, same thing. He's a run stopper. Could be okay. Knight has the strength, at least, as a power rusher. Decent speed. Would have liked to have seen slightly higher agility. Tyler McWilliams, power rusher, but the reps are a bit low. Concerning. When the player type doesn't exactly add up. Now, Jermaine Valentine looks like he's amazing. For a speed rusher with good finesse moves, he also has good strength to back up the agility. He looks like the complete package. Whereas Rashawn Cash does not. What about Morrison? Morrison's okay. I mean, he's strong as hell. Wardham, not gonna cut it. Yeah, not gonna cut it. And Trey Hunt, I don't trust the grades. Defensive tackles. What about Keenan Gaines? Could be decent. And again, these are positions that we're not exactly hurting for. Doesn't hurt to look, though. What about Armstead? You're a bit too weak. Barton? A bit too weak again. What about John Bates out of USC? A bit too weak. And Dudley Mayo? Also a bit too weak, unfortunately. I mean, the agility makes it interesting, though. Linebackers. Oh, God, everybody really dropped off there, didn't they? They really did, at least on that left-hand side. Middle linebackers, we have McDonald and we have Abbott's, which is tremendous. Fiore is looking all right, and then again, Nicholas is looking pretty good. On the right, Richard Gunter. And Davis, I'm not really going to worry about all that much. Corners, we have Moses, Farmer, Coco, Ivy. Let's take a look here, actually. Yeah, I mean, Moses Farmer's a beast. Coco Ivy, also a beast, and a little bit younger. So, I mean, in terms of drafting a corner, that guy could be it. Matthew McAllister, not so much. The vert's a little bit too low. We have Ben Monroe, who didn't take part in the combine. Wow, that guy's speed. Everything else is amazing. It's just his speed sucks. If we were to change him to a safety, but catching being one of the top grades is always a little bit concerning. That guy's a bit too weak. Barry Dillon, absolutely not. That's it for corners. Safeties, it's not good. At least not there. It is good with Jerron Aldridge, though, and Jawan Riley is okay, but Aldridge is the guy to get. So we have our target list. So again, running back wise, there's only one dude that I'd want, and it's Oliver Sheffield. Wide receiver wise, no denying that Nolan Gross is the top option. Strength's a bit low. Ran a 4.5, ridiculous agility, a good vert jump for someone 5'11". I can't hate on that. I've had such bad luck though. Ashley Stewart as a deep threat, ran that 4.45, has a good vert jump at 6'2", strong, so the lack of agility I'm cool with. Timothy Drew is a bit too slow. He's basically like a weaker version of Stewart. And then Solomon Crosby as a slot option might be okay. Cassidy Wall has the speed. Tight end wise, very much intrigued by Abraham and Christensen. I like Abraham more than I like Raymer as a receiving option. And then the O-line, which again, not too concerned about. There's no denying that there is some ridiculous talents on the O-line that could technically improve this team. But I don't know how worried about that I am. I mean, we're looking at this draft. We have all these picks. I mean, it's definitely drafting for need, but knowing that, hey, we could get some players who are better than who we have now and just move other people out and then use those players to fill the roles that we want to fix up later. So Sheffield, late first round projection. We'll keep an eye on him. Gross is an early first rounder. He really scares me. He really does. Second round projection. Abraham is a mid-first round talent. So late, early, mid. Jason Adkins is going to be amazing. Let me double check the O-line right now. Because we are set, but I mean, again, Shields is fine, Roman's fine, Young is fine, Landry's fine, and Isaiah Wynn's 27. Finding a replacement for Wynn isn't the worst idea. It really isn't. So back to the draft board. So Adkins is projected to go early, which is no real surprise. Travis Jones is projected to go early. And then at right tackle, Craig Mason. So if we could end up with either Adkins or Jones, I think we'd be okay. Then defensive line, again, Lionel Hill is a monster. An absolute monster. Tyler McWilliams is still pretty good, but not quite in the same ballpark. And then Jermaine Valentine, again, I really like. And Morrison was also relatively solid. DT, which is what we're hurting for less, but you could talk about moving somebody over. I mean, I really like Lionel Hill. And linebacker-wise, we have some ridiculous talent here, too. with McDonald, who's an early first-round projection, and a mid-first-rounder for Ray Abbott. And then Gunter as well. So the issue here, right, is that, well, I want the running back, I want the wide receiver. Really, both of those tight ends would be pretty good pickups. We got the people on the O-line. You pick up someone like Lionel Hill, you're laughing. Pick up someone like Ray Abbott or McDonald or Gunter, you're doing well. And then we need one of these top corners. Again, Moses Farmer at 23. It's a little bit concerning. This dude at 21, Coco Ivy, is unreal. But he's also an early first-round projection. I think for the secondary, I mean, getting Aldridge and Ivy would be amazing. Like, that would make the secondary just absolutely insane. But there are so many players in so many different spots that I want. We can't get all of them. I just don't know how early I'd want to try to trade up to make something happen. So we know we're going to miss out on some good players. I'm going to sim this Buffalo pick. And they took Shannon McDonald, the middle linebacker. He's a 77. So a really good pick for them, which is not surprising. That leaves us with Abbott or Gunter. Gunter, early first round projection, or Ray Abbott. Obviously, I'd prefer Ray Abbott. And the good thing is we have the extra money to spend so we could trade up if need be. Do we trade with Minnesota? How early and how often do we trade up knowing that the bonus money could be crippling? And then I really want to get Nolan Gross, but I don't want to afford to swing and a miss or to swing and miss on a wide receiver. But again, Hill, you have Abbott, Gunter. I have to let this, like, natural select. Like, I just have to let this wear down. Abbott was a swing and a miss. Whew. That's a bad miss from Minnesota. And a shocking miss at that. So Gunter is the last linebacker that I was interested in. And we're going to sim this next pick, though, because I want to see what the hell goes down. Adkins off the O-line is gone. Jacksonville at 4 takes Travis Jones, which isn't surprising. Another pretty good lineman that's off the board. Man, this is tough. How patient is too patient? Because both of the O-linemen that I wanted to potentially replace Wynn, they're gone. I don't think I want to trade into the top 10. Our pick is 10th. Atlanta took Gross. 75. Dodged a bullet. That would have been tough. He's probably got a good dev pattern. If he doesn't, that's a nightmare for them. Philly at 6 took Aldridge, who was only a 75, which again, for this year's draft is good. Probably has a good dev pattern, but these are players that you would honestly expect to have higher dev patterns. And or higher overalls, and it kind of concerns me. Gunter's only a 74. San Fran at 8 gets Redding, gigantic swing and a miss. And Tennessee at 9 takes McWilliams, who was only a 69. Wow. So it really does depend on dev patterns, because some of these guys have much, much lower overalls than you would have thought. There's no way we're taking Sheffield in the first round unless it's super late. I do want both of these tight ends. O-line, again, we don't have to get rid of Wynn. Mason is solid, though. Lionel Hill is still available. Jermaine Valentine is still available. I'd obviously take Hill over him. And then we got a couple of linebackers. Coco Ivy is who I was thinking of. There's Ivy and there's Lionel Hill. And to be honest, I think I want both of them. Lionel Hill is going to be the first pick here, though. This guy looks insane. Lionel, 75 hidden, 5th in true talent, 10th if you believe in the double flex. We just got ourselves a goddamn X factor in Lionel Hill the power rusher out of Arizona State. Now, again, I know that they changed that. It's supposed to be deceiving or whatever. Again, I don't even know if that works the way it is, but Lionel Hill could be something special, which will spell the end for at least one good player on this team. Oh, God. Our next pick is 13th. Do I risk Ivy still being there? I wouldn't be able to forgive myself if Ivy was off the board. I wouldn't be able to, because I think he's the best corner in this draft. So we're going to go talk to the Cardinals. We're going to go for back-to-back picks. They stole Leighton Vander Esch from me. I'm not letting them steal Ivy away from me. Not a chance in hell. So, in terms of who moves here, it's Carl Lawson, who's on the block, or we move Dexter Lawrence and just play somebody else. Because Barnett's not going anywhere with him being an X factor. So we could move out Carl Lawson, or we could just be ridiculously stacked for now. Figure it out later. Let's just try to make this happen with picks. How close are we with that 1st and 5th? 2/5 might be enough. If not, we'll have to use a 3rd, which is fine. Yeah, we're going to have to use a 3rd, but that's worth it. Move up 2 picks and secure that corner who looks can't miss. I'll add a 5th as well. That's fine. We have other picks that we're not going to be making. So there we go. Let's trade up. Let's get this corner. I mean, I'm very happy with the Lionel Hill pick, especially for where we got him. I know I criticize other teams for getting guys who didn't have higher overalls, but then again, they're also paying those guys more money. So again, it comes down to Farmer. And it's Coco Ivy who wins because of his age. And look at how good he is in coverage. Coco Ivy's the pick. 75 normal. Wow. Still has a chance to break out, but normal dev is shocking. 6th in true talent. We get him at 11. But yeah, that is... Wow, 75 in those coverage equal out to a B, huh? Good to know. Normal dev for Coco Ivy. His pattern might still be able to go up, but that sucks. As Miami takes Moses Farmer, who's a 77. We just got duped by the Dolphins. Shit. Figured going with the younger guy who looked just as good was the safer way to go. Apparently not. Now the good thing is we do have Lawson who we could use to go out and get a decent option at corner. But Ivy, that normal dev is shocking to me. So Sheffield's there. A couple of wide receiver and tight end options that are interesting. Craig Mason. Freaking 6'8" Goliath. Could be very interesting to replace Isaiah Wynn. There are quite a few guys left here that I'm interested in that might not necessarily go in this first round. So we're going to move down a little bit and see how this plays out. Donovan Cobb is a big swing and a miss for Arizona. The Jets take John Knight. That's looking rough. 66 wideout in Avery. So this draft, in terms of quality, is looking very, very poor. Which scares me for this pick. As far as who is available, again, Sheffield's there. 2 tight ends are there. And Mason on the O-line is there. Knight, we don't really have to take the risk with. Valentine, I think, is going to be pretty damn good, but he is 23. And then Ben Monroe, who we might be able to get in the next round. I gotta be honest. I think I'm gonna risk it. We are going to take Terrence Abraham, the tight end out of the U, with this pick. Big risk, but I'm taking it. And it didn't pan out. 10th in true talent, we get him at 19. The 74 overall is decent, but back-to-back normal dev players. And I'm a little bit less optimistic about him ending up with a good dev pattern as compared to the 21-year-old. And this draft is looking rough in terms of overalls. Diamond Tap's a hell of a name. Wow, this is poor. And Dustin Gunn's off the board. I don't really feel good about making this, 4 picks in the first round. We're going to take Sheffield here to make sure we end up with them. I just need to see better than normal dev. Please. Oh, thank God. 22nd, or 22 years old, hidden again. If you believe in that still being broken, he could be something special. 70 overall hidden for Sheffield. 91 speed with 81 strength for the power back. That's looking good. I mean, in terms of overall, we did very well with the 4 players that we have. It's just those 2 normal dev patterns in a row really, really hurt. But it's not as if anybody else in this draft is doing any better. Jermaine Valentine was a 71. Makes me wonder what his overall is. So from there, again, wideout-wise, couple of guys we could be looking at. There is Christensen, who I'm very intrigued by. Barnett, 38 reps at 23 years old. Adam McAdams is a great name, but I don't think he's worth it. He's a bit too weak. And then Craig Mason is there. Knight. We have some pretty damn good talent left on the board. We're going to wait until our next pick comes up. I'm not going to trade up again. So the Bills take Ashley Stewart, that wideout, who was only a 67. Washington took Barnett, who was only a 67. Actually, it's not. It was Minnesota. Washington took Robbins, who wasn't that good either. Arsenio Ford was the second best running back. Patrick Banks. And the Eagles take Gregory. So we made the right choice taking the running back when we did. He certainly wouldn't have been available at that point. I mean, for me, he's still on the board when he probably shouldn't be. I'm thinking Craig Mason's the guy. Well, we're going to take the risk. Now, I know he's 5th round projection, but 1st round talent. Again, the AI is a little bit smarter this year in terms of taking players when they should. It just makes me think, though, that he probably doesn't have a good dev pattern. I'm kind of worried that Knight's still there when he probably shouldn't be. Ben Monroe is someone we're going to take a risk on. It's a round earlier than he's projected. But in previous years, guys who didn't take part in the combine were sure things. And I think we just got a sure thing. Might only be a star, but 72 overall, hidden at 22. It's our second corner that we've picked up. If we want to just let those 4 younger corners go for it, we're looking okay. If we want to make a move to bring in somebody else, we'll have the ability to do so. Matthew McAllister was a 71. Lindsey Brooks is off the board. Rayshawn Cash is gone. Lee Garrison, I mean, you kind of see the lower options. Raymer was a 68. I just wonder about his dev pattern. Reinhardt and O-Lineman's gone. Seth McAdams. I'm feeling good about our chances here with the 2nd round pick. Just wondering, though, what the future will hold for those 2 normal dev pattern guys and whether or not they'll ever pan out for us. On Red off the board, Case Reed, and Stuckey. So, as far as who's left here, I mean, wideout-wise, Crosby and Wall, who are just best guess. Christensen's there, who I'm very intrigued by. You have this dude projected to go in the next round. Could be decent. Craig Mason is still on the board. I know he's 5th round projection, 1st round talent. Knight's also on the board still. He and Morrison both 3rd round projections, but 1st round talents. There's been a couple of examples of that here. Of course, that defensive line help isn't necessary, though. And then there's only Jawan Riley left in the secondary, who's fairly well-rounded. Speed and agility, perhaps a bit lower than you'd want. Our next pick after this isn't until the 5th round, though. So I'm thinking it is either for the best to try and trade down. If I were to trade down, what can I get here? Can I get a 3rd and a 5th? Of course, we're looking for this year's draft. So a 3rd, 5th, and a 7th this year. 3rd and a 4th. I think that 3rd, 5th, and the 7th. The 2nd round pick next year and a 6th is interesting, but I'm going to go with this offer here from Oakland. We're going to trade down a little bit. A lot of bit, but hopefully. And you know what? I'm just going to sim ahead, and we'll see who's left. And hopefully still get somebody decent. I mean, there's a chance, obviously, to just sit there and trade up into the 3rd round a ton. Not something I really want to do. So the wideouts are gone. Christensen's still there. Mason is still available. Jesus Christ. AI would normally be all over that. Dudley Mayo's available. A couple of the wideouts, and that safety's gone. I'm going to take Christensen here. It's perhaps a little bit early. That's actually not who I meant to take. That I should have taken the other dude. 73 normals, so he's not bad. But I'm going to take Christensen there and then trade up with Carolina to get that O-lineman. I want that offensive lineman. So, again, we're going to have a couple of people left to be able to move, to be able to trade, to fill in holes on this team if need be. I will give you my 3rd rounder next year. Just 1 for 1. What are you thinking? Needs a bit more value. That's not surprising. I'll also give you a 5th. And let's tack on ye old 7th. We do have quite a few 6th in this pick, or in this draft, this pick. I'm losing my mind at this point. So let's also get that offensive lineman who is still on the board, Craig Mason, who's a 71. So, yeah, decent overall. The dev pattern isn't quite there, but he does provide a little bit more depth than what we had. So, all in all, solid draft for us. We're not done yet. It just kind of sucks that that corner in particular did not have a great dev pattern. We're going to take Dudley Mayo with our final pick of this draft. He's a 68, so depth. At the very least, we will trade down from here and pick it up with the next draft. So a couple of 4th options. Do I see a 3rd? I don't. Let's take that 4th from the Saints. Get the hell out of this draft and take a look at some of the players who were picked up that we were interested in. See what we missed out on. A 4th is the best we're going to get. So let's take that deal from the Rams. And that'll move us down into, just the later parts of the 6th round, where we have, again, another 4th. And a 4th round pick's the best we're going to get. We'll take that from the Chiefs. So we are stocking up on some picks heading into the next draft, which is pretty nice. Obviously not quite to the same extent that we had in prior years, like this year, of course, where, the prior year we had a ton of picks, and this year we had a ton of 1st round picks to be able to work with as well. But still, a decent foundation to work with in that draft. We'll take that 6th from Atlanta, Timmy Johnson. Good old Timmy, and that'll do it for this draft. So a quick recap here. Let's take a look at how this draft went down. So Shannon McDonald, hidden, not surprising. Raymond Abbott's hidden, not surprising. Adkins, yeah, we knew these guys were going to be good. Nolan Gross, hidden, so yeah, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. All these guys, even Jones, it's like you can take the risk by trading up. Dron Aldridge is good. Gunter's probably going to be good. Obviously, you want all of these players on your team, there's only so many guys you can get. But we swung and missed with Moses Farmer. We went with the younger guy, hoping for the best, and that just did not work out for me at all. Was there anybody else here in the first round I was interested in? Jermaine Valentine at the very end. I feel like Dallas could have gotten a bit of a gem there. Let's take a look. How good is he? Normal. Okay, maybe not. Second round, Ashley Stewart was someone we had our eyes on, who was terrible. Nathan Barnett had the low overall as well. Ben Monroe, who we ended up with. Matthew McAllister. Wouldn't have been that much better than who we took. Let's see. Stuckey, I'm mainly looking at overalls here. Solomon Crosby we had our eyes on, and for good reason. I feel like we had a decent draft. It could have gone a bit better. Morrison was hidden dev. A lot of guys we had pinned ended up being pretty damn good players. Keenan Gaines was hidden dev. We swung and missed in some regards. The good thing is, we're not at the stage where swinging and missing means that we're absolutely screwed, you know? Well, we can survive it. It's just always tough when you can identify, you know, a dozen players where it's like, yep, I want that guy, but you know you can't have every single player that you want to get in the draft. It just doesn't work that way. So, it is unfortunate, but I'm still feeling pretty good about how this draft went for us, all things considered. It was a little bit of a weaker draft in terms of crazy high-end talents as well. So, like I said, heading into this next season, we're still in a pretty good spot. We have an upgrade point already. Ricky Sparks, not bad. That should get him into the greens. I am going to try to make him better as a run stopper, and he does go up to a 76 anyway, which is very good news. +3 tackling for the 23-year-old superstar. So taking a look here, like I said, we only have 38 players on the roster right now. Obviously off screen, I'll sign a backup quarterback. Running back wise, Sheffield's the second option, and hopefully he can break out much like Harris did, except go to a higher standard, and we'll sign somebody else. Wide out wise, that's the one spot where we didn't get any help. We'll look in the free agent market. Maybe Jaquan Spears can have a breakout moment this year. Tight end wise, I mean, at the very least, Jake Butt is probably going to be traded to let Terrence Abraham try to take a step forward. Christensen as a blocker isn't a bad option to have. The O-line remains the same. Did not get a replacement for Isaiah Wynn this year, but that's all right. And then Lionel Hill needs to play. So we could keep Carl Lawson as an amazing depth option or trade him to get somebody else. It's kind of the same thing with Lawrence, right? Like, we can make the most of his value and go out and get somebody, or just make sure that we have ridiculous depth, which would be nice. And then again, corner-wise, we can let these latter two try to develop. Terrell Godfrey's good enough to carry that secondary as his choice. Obviously, Evans, getting a slight improvement on him wouldn't be a bad way to go. So that'll do it. Disappointment in the playoffs, but we are set up pretty damn well heading into the next year. But nothing matters in the regular season. It's all about postseason success.